Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ASSCA TOECAR Development Series, our first televised season, right here. This is going to be Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ASSCA TOECAR Development Series, Season 5, our first televised season. And we're here for the preseason thunder. You might be wondering, what is this series? Well, this series is the bottom of the TOECAR pedestal. It obviously starts with the top, the Splint Cup series, and then the Goodies Trash series. We are below that. We are the future faces of TOECAR, trying to make a name for themselves here. And there's a couple right there. Justin Tallgeier, Chippy Ahoy. You see there's a 16 as well. Ricky Tiki Goofy Robin. Making laps around here. Now, I'm Josh Curtis, the voice of ASSCA. And I'd like to give a little disclaimer. We are not an official TOECAR series, but we are a TOECAR-owned series, exactly like ARCA is to NASCAR. We're excited to be here at Gauntlet, and we should probably go over a few things. We do have teams. We do have a season schedule. So let's get into that here. So as you can see, we're going to be having 8 regular season races. And if 8 different winners happen, we will have 8 cars locked into the playoffs for a 3-race playoff. But we go up to 12. So there'll be 12 cars that will try and fight for a championship. So if there's 8 winners, then we will see 4 cars get in on points. If there's less, we see more get in on points, as you saw a car with an issue. Now, there are teams. There is a silly season that is a lot to uncover that might not be a TOECAR custom. And that's what makes us a little bit different. And it's going to be some exciting stuff. I'm Josh Curtis, the voice of ASSCA. We'd like to thank a couple partners, Content Racing Designs and W Energy, for sponsoring this series. Looking at the way. Going across the finish line here. Just in front, and you can see empty pockets. And that 55, just in front, Crispy Bacon. That family has gone through a massacre as of lately. And, this is one of the Crispy Bacons that just turned 18, was kind of dissociated with the family until the tragedy has struck. And here's Crispy Bacon making his, it seems like 100 baconauts proud here. Yeah. This is strictly an exhibition race, and this was an optional race for these guys to take. And they all wanted to take it. They all wanted to generate some momentum. Your season cannot be won here, but it can definitely go upwards. Momentum can definitely generate those things. That is Secret Agent Randy Beans, number 45. Back my line. This is going to be an exciting race. The movement came across the start-finish line about 7,000 wide. So it's going to be very interesting to see. We're going to have the teams and drivers at the starting grid. We're going to definitely see them towards the front. In fact, there's our front row. So yet again, we'd like to thank W Energy for sponsoring the series. If you use code ASSCA and check in, you can get 10% off your order. The energy junkies that may or may not be a fan here. Get some savings. So, I think we've gone over enough. Let's get into the W Energy starting grid. On pole, it's the 18 of Buster Guts for Go Jibs Racing. We knew this was coming. This is probably the powerhouse team that is going to be very difficult to beat. Now, last year they had a very mixed schedule because their drivers actually passed away. So this is definitely weird to see them with a full-time driver again. Next to him will be Michael Wave in the 87 for Klottenheimer Racing. Then we've got Aggressive, a young rookie who is going to live up to his name. In fact, he legally changed his name from Aggressive. His previous name was Anderdingus. So, a very smart change as well to change his name to that. That is quite a badass name. And he's the master of bationing. It's masturbation on the outside in the 22 Star Motorsports car for fourth place. Nia Newman in the 70 for Star Motorsports as well will start in fifth, and Dale Bernhardt Jr. to his outside. That is a fan favorite right there. It'll be very exciting to see if he can make it. Then there's Amber. She is so fine. And she's starting up there in seventh and eighth. It is Dr. Shrimp Puerto Rico in the 25 for Star Motorsports as well. It's really exciting to see some of these powerhouse teams that are going to go at it here at a track that will probably end somebody's life here today. Leland Funnyman starts in ninth with Chris P. Bacon. What a qualifying effort by Chris P. Bacon, starting in 10th. What a goat, as they say. And then you've got Franklin Fenway Jefferson Washington III, who will start in 11th, also for Star Motorsports in that 20. And then it is Detective Bluto Mind Pretzel, who starts in 12th here in that 2 car. Melanoma in the 76 will start up in the 13th position with Justin Tallgeier in 14th behind or alongside Melanoma here tonight. Chippy Ahoy in the 41 will share the row with his teammate Aero 404 driver not found. And now we've got the Bob, or as they say, the Bob. SpongeBob is starting up here in the 4 with Aaron Pressure alongside. That is going to be a pretty fun round as well. Aunt Tim in the 11 alongside Xbox 360. The W Energy 78, who will provide us the W Energy onboard camera. Cuppa Joe will start with Rob Pockets' son, Empty Pockets, alongside. Kind of a sad qualifying effort for Nephew Motorsports with Secret Agent Randy Beans, but he said to me, and I quote, "It is not over yet. I will find a way to molest the competition." Now, I hope that was not a legitimate suggestion that he had, but we'll find out in the future. And it's Humphrey Clott for Klottenheimer, way back here in the 98. Very uncharacteristic of this team to be this far back, but we'll see how that goes. And Becca Lynn, Amber's teammate, also had a terrible qualifying effort, but she's up here. She's in the race. She's hoping to have things go her way. There was one DNQ, which was Brad Oman. The 35 of Van Alt's Greg, and a longtime grinder, has one win. It came at Daytona. It was insane. And he is starting back here as well. Happy World Peace in the 71 with the 3G sponsor. Starts pretty far back for his team. The rest of his team did pretty well in qualifying, but unfortunately, he did not. Now, the 5 of Tony Baloney for Lucky Sevens starts back here. She is hoping to prove everybody wrong as well. We're getting to the very back of the field here. Tire Wear in the 51 with Stacy. We know that name alongside. The 33 of Lawful Allen, another name we know for Team Loyally Racing in that 33. And then Simican Standard Bits in his own family-owned car with that 97, hoping to get some success here to start generating some momentum. We're getting towards the back of the field here. Gert, Tony Baloney's teammate for Lucky Sevens, hoping to get something going here as a rookie. And then we've got Mick and Rory in the 01 for Puddle Crack Racing.
That'll be a good one. Puddle Quack Racing has never seen Victory Lane. Mick and Rorty have a good chance. Aunt Tim, we also saw, also have a good chance. They'll have a part-time car going as well. And of course, their team owner, which we will get to soon, Ricky Ticky Bobby Wobbin for Alzheimer's Motorsports in the 68. I think that he's going to be a surpriser when it comes to where he'll end up against the rest of the field. I think that he is ready to prove everybody wrong. And then we've got a new team and a new driver, Cyber Zed for Cyber Zed Motorsports, a owner driver, there's a couple others like that, and we'll see how he can do. Watislav had a terrible qualifying effort in that 74 for Retro Racing. Hopefully he can do better. We'll see how that goes. And then you've got Denise Fat lined up alongside. Now the final two rows, 40th and 42nd is the last row. My bad. We've got the 38th position. That is Victor E. Lane. 39th is the team owner, Pip Puddle Quack. The 15 of Reese Ware is towards the back here for Ware Racing. Tire Ware was up there a little bit further. He had a problem during qualifying. So did the guy he's lining up with, Cleavage McNamara for 5 Pins Racing. 5 Pins Racing is definitely a back marker team, but they're hoping they can shock people here. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm excited. So let's throw it down to Jason Payson for the command.
Drivers, start your engines.
And away they go. This is going to be exciting, ladies and gentlemen. Are we hyped? So, something that I might not have said, I don't really remember. There will be silly seasons, there will be team changes, there will be drivers that come and go, but it will not be like TOECAR, where we will see, drivers stay in based on their wins and based on their performances. That is not how it will go. We will see drivers stay in based on the team they're with, and drivers potentially move up into actual TOECAR. However, there will be signups for new drivers at the end of the season. We will get into that more when it approaches. As you can see, Buster Guts here. I'm excited to see how he can do, how Michael Wave can do as well. This top 5, I'd say, is going to be very interesting. I think the top 10 as well. Qualifying can go a whole different way, especially here at Pigs Creek, where they pretty much are 800 wide across the start-finish line. So we'll have to see how this 18 can do. Can he keep the momentum going? Is Michael Wade going to have a better start on that outside? What can Aggressive do in that 28 for Klottenheimer? Masturbation for Star Motorsports. Get ready. This is going to get exciting. Oh man. We're ready to rock. Here at Pittsburgh, one room for the ASSCA TOECAR Gauntlet Series preseason showdown. Buster Guts gets away with an incredible start. Here comes Aggressive though. Nyan Newman goes down to the inside line, but now it's going to turn into the outside. That's another way you have to strategize. You have to plan out your lane choice, as they are 800,000 wide back there. You've got to look at the front of the field, see who can make the moves quickly. Amber's up to 4. Here comes Nyan Newman. Oh my goodness me, this is going to be exciting. They stay orderly through this part of the track. Once we get into this next corner exit, it is going to turn into an absolute disaster for somebody. And it's going to be Nyan Newman who's going to be left out to dry. Here comes Amber as they fan out a million wide once again. Aggressive in the middle of the field. Look at that. They are 7 million wide across the line. Who needs a close lap? Oh my goodness. Aggressive was leading the first lap. We're going to do 40 laps here today. I might not have said that because this is so exciting. Look at the state of the field. Buster Guts. Right on the tail of Aggressive. Aggressive is leading the race. How about Empty Pockets and Justin Tallguy are making moves up here? You see Xbox 360, somebody's front runners that qualified up front. Michael Wave is gone. Michael Wave has lost that lead of that lane he was in. And Buster Guts and Aggressive have kind of pulled away, and they're about to wreck, and they do! Michael Wave is collected. Pip Puddle Quack, Becca Lynn, Ricky Ticky, Bobby Wobbin, Gert, Stacy. Secret Agent Randy Beans, some mystery car going through the grass. That's Michael Wave. Tony Baloney, Dale Bernhardt Jr. What a disaster for the 8. And as it's been said in TOECAR, trouble. Oh, and double trouble! The 8 just flipped over! We gotta take a look at what just happened. Clip of Joe looking at this wreck. It's Mr. back there. What's it mean? Remember, who's coming to check in to 2% up there, but he's on the monster. I'm gonna take one final look at this accident before continuing here. Looking at the 76. 76, it's just turned to the wall. Luckily, it's a softer collection. 76 goes up and over, but it was not as bad as it initially looked when the first car got turned around. Oh, and you see there's that's where Dale Bernhardt got another big piece of damage. And somebody's going through the grass up there. That is Denise Fat in the 23 XXM. Man, tough break, lap 3. Back to the Gauntlet. 6 here. We've had a couple retirements. Becca Lynn and Stacy with huge damage. Denise Fat also had some huge damage. Not actually 1,000% sure about their status in the race. Now, we're still waiting on race control to know if we're going to do single file or double file restarts. At the yellow brakes, I don't think we'd form up just yet. So Aggressive is currently the race leader. Buster Guts is in second. Justin Tallguy in third, and they will double up. So we will have double file restarts. Oh dear Lord. This is going to get ugly very quick. You see, could the cars that have damage or had some sort of issue already? At least the top 31 cars are the only ones left. We've almost lost 10 cars already. Lap 3. We're coming back to the green flag. Buster Guts and Aggressive. Currently the front row. Here we go. Time to do it again. Lap 6, going into lap 7. On 6, 7. That was funny. We're green again. And a terrible start from the team. Somebody had an issue there. They kept it going, though. They kept it all right. We're scared. Look at the disaster happening back here. 55 of Empty Pockets. Making the move, and he takes the lead. Taking the point in second. Mick and Rory in third. And the question is, can Chippy avoid Mick and Rory? Can they get something going to where they do stay in orderly fashion until there's a certain amount of laps to go? I don't think that's going to happen. They stay usually pretty orderly until right about here in this straightaway. And you're going to see it again. Here it is, empty pockets kind of in the middle of this pack. And you're going to see how wide they can go. They are like 8 million wide across the start-finish line. And it's going to be Chippy Ahoy who leads that line. So Chippy Ahoy leads the lap. The question is, can he lead the whole time? Chippy Ahoy in the lead. Here comes Mick and Rory on the inside. Mick and Rory will take the lead. Here comes Nathan Fineman. Seeing the pack's kind of spread out now. It's going to be difficult to generate an incredible run like we saw in the first little stint there where everyone was right together because we just lost a good portion of the field. When Fineman gets turned, and he's going to slam the wall. Oh my God! Leland Funnyman and Chippy Ahoy, the teammates, both upside down. And Chippy Ahoy tumbles. Goodness me. They've made it back to the line. What a disaster. What just happened? We've got huge trouble. Holy shit. Holy shit. Leland Funnyman might be dead. No. Taking a look at what happened, there's Leland Funnyman in the 42, Cup of Joe behind him. And it's just a mismatched switch. And the 42 just gets sent. And the hit into the roof from his teammate of Chippy Ahoy. And Chippy Ahoy tumbles. Leland Funnyman with a long slide. What an absolute disaster for Nephew Motorsports. Hopefully Leland is alright after a terrible impact. There's Chippy Ahoy in the 41 who was also protected. You see the 78 looks to the inside, Bunyan blocks late. And oh my goodness. What a disastrous impact for that 42. And you see a boy kind of picks it up. And the campers, everybody in that portion of the area just saw a disastrous crash. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. Especially.
Look at the WMG onboard camera from Cup of Joe. This knee just looks to the inside of the 42 and it just becomes a disaster. Huge impact of the 42 very final. And Chippy Ahoy. Just be the thing. Welcome back. Welcome. Let's me double up again. We're ready. Craziness to begin here. As Mick and Rory currently hold the race lead. Happy world peace. And second, no pressure for Kloppenheimer. In third, as we are going to begin lap 13. Here with the green flag again. The 71. Trying to make a name as well. And it is an absolute disaster again for the outside. Aaron Pressure now. Looking to the inside of the 01, almost turned him. Here comes Dr. Shrimp Puerto Rico in the 25. Aaron Pressure's going to have the bottom. Here comes Masturbation. Masturbation through the middle. Can you believe this? Unbelievable. Masturbation looking to take the lead here in that Star Motorsports 22. They used to be a 3-car team.
Before this guy showed up, they gave him an extra seat. There used to be, of course, the 2055 and 25. But 155 has that 55 number now. And they are leading the race with it. But here comes Masturbation. Here comes from Puerto Rico as well. He doesn't help his teammate. Who's going to lead this time at the line? It's already Masturbation who leads. Started in 4th place. The only drivers that out-qualified him were Buster Guts, Michael Lee, Aggressive, and I believe that they have kind of had their own issues throughout the day. That's 13 to 40 here. Oh man, this is getting exciting because now we're starting to see who goes with who, what happens where. You see, there's Amber trying to make a move. She is so hot, it's unbelievable. And she is so fast right now as she's currently up in 5th. How about that 39 there? Currently Swipe Right Racing. And it looks like they're looking for a new name over the off-season and at some point during the season to change. A very close call there with Franklin Fenway, Jefferson Washington III. There you see Aggressive still in the mix as Masturbation leads yet again. And it's a lot of front runners, a lot of these cars you'd see probably up front on a regular basis. Maybe not Lawful Allen though. How about Lawful Allen? Your season can't be won or lost here, but it can definitely change. Especially because there has been no points race yet. Speaking of points racing, join us on November 5th for Daytona practice. And so, a week after, we will begin the actual regular season Daytona. It's going to get exciting here in the ASSCA TOECAR Development Series. Buster Guts, oh my goodness. Crispy Bacon up here. And you see Masturbation still leading. And here comes Lawful Allen. Here comes Aaron Peacher. Here comes Amber. Here they all come trying to make a move. 20 goes way up the track. Buster Guts just gained a couple spots there on the bottom. And this is where it becomes a strategy game. What line do you want? Which turns are you the best at? And why do you need to be in for that turn to work? Because you could be on the inside for this turn and be on the outside for potentially the next two. And it becomes a very different game once you're on that opposite lane. It's very exciting to watch. Here comes Aaron Pressure. Aaron Pressure into 75. Along the outside with Lawful Allen helping him out. Masturbation leaves the bottom open. Here comes Amber. Oh my goodness, this is intense. As they fan out like crazy again, Amber goes way wide, and she just lost a whole bunch of spots. All the work she just made is gone. And Masturbation still leads. And Pressure now trying to take that spot away though for Klottenheimer. Klottenheimer trying to take this race. This is getting exciting. This is unbelievable. And they're still fanning out like crazy across the line. Nobody's really willing to work with anybody down the front stretch. See, the front stretch can be where you get a lot of spots, where you can lose a lot of spots. Here comes the 75 to lead for potentially the first time. But Masturbation right there on the bottom, and he's going to take the bottom line again with Justin Tallman, Peppa Joe right behind him. I'm doing free quad up here. And they fan out like twins, and Masturbation still leads, but they're 5, 6, possibly 7 wide across the start-finish line. Masturbation still leading. Lap 17 is 30. It is craziness right now. Look at that. Gave up the bottom to get the bottom on this specific turn. So clearly, Masturbation knows that this is his best corner. And he was not able, though, to get back to the bottom.
So Aaron Pressure takes the lead back with Cup of Joe following suit. And that was almost a finish. Aaron Pressure had to check up. Here comes Franklin Fenway Jefferson Washington III. And they need to make a short name for him. It's getting very difficult to say in these high situations. Here comes Buster Guts. He's coming back. And here comes Cup of Joe. Full drive for the lead. Oh my goodness, this is intense. Can you believe this? As they are a million wide again across the start finish line, Masturbation is still somehow the leader, even though he was way off of the bottom. And now, Franklin Fenway Jefferson Washington III is the leader. In case you're wondering about the ticker, it updates every time we get across the start-finish line, so there will not be live mid-lap position changes. So right now it still says Masturbation is the leader, but he is not. As you can evidently see, as he is now trying to get back into second at least. Buster Guts looking back there. Buster Guts looking back there. He's going to have a chance. They're going to be 4 wide yet again going through this corner. Man, it's going to be very difficult to lead majority of this race and still win. Buster Guts, though, looking to keep that 18s car winning ways. It's the 20 that leads across the line this time. It's FF JW. As we're coming up on lappers now, this is gonna get very complicated. As Tony Baloney in the middle of the bottom lane. And see, look at what that did. Look at what that did to the entire field. Now they're spread out. They're gonna have to figure out a way to try and formulate back up. But do these guys try and drive away? One wide almost back there. And right now, I think that those top 3 or so, they just want to have potential to win this thing. As you saw, Buster Guts, and I believe, we're seeing pit stops here. Some of these guys come down pit road. And that is going to be very interesting to watch, because now the question is, right, how do they end up turning out? Because you think that the pit stops would come under a yellow flag, but we've only had 2 yellows. I think we will only get 2 yellows at this point. Maybe we get some aggression later in the race, but this is looking definitely interesting. And Funman's impact, I'd like to mention, was around 250 miles an hour into the outside wall. That is what we are hearing, at least. Oh, and they wreck! Huge hit for Humphrey and Franklin! Oh my goodness! Well involved. Tall guy here, Aaron Pressure. And it all started when Van Alst Greg got in the way. Oh my goodness. Another crazy incident. That just changed everything. The front pack. So Mick and Wardy leads by almost a second, but it's not going to matter as we have yellow. Taking a look here. There's the 20. Keep note of those 2 top cars on the top. Mick and Rory, Mick and Rory. That's what happened. Mick and Rory had contact with the 35 of Van Alst Greg, and it sent him up into the 20 and the 98. And that's what triggered this incident. And what a nasty impact. The 20 able to drive away. And that hit was definitely over 200 miles an hour. You just don't take those hits with no physical pain at all. There's definitely a bit of pain at least behind that wheel. The WJ again, you see, look at the clothing. Look them from 35 and Max Road. Everything went wrong. You see the pressure get turned around.
percent off. Use code ASSCA TOECAR. Making Gauntlet store. We've got some pit stops. Some people have come into pit here. And it looks like it's going to be probably everybody else that hasn't pitted. So now, look at the top 10. Ricky Ticky Bobby Wobbin has taken over the race lead with Cyber Zed in second and Reese Ware in third. What is Love in fourth. Ryan Newman in fifth. And you can see, based on the scoring pylon, there are almost half of the cars left in this race. We have lost a good portion of the field when it comes to incidents. And yeah, by the term lost, I don't mean maybe DNF, but we've definitely seen a lot of guys now become out of contention because of the damage that they've sustained. Meanwhile, some of these guys towards the back that lost this draft have been able to stay clean, and now look at, they are up front and they are in a position to win because I believe can make it on from here. But we need to factor this in. We can see overtime. There's a possibility. ASSCA does have overtime. It's not stupid overtime like in actual real life ARCA. It is actual overtime. It's going to be very exciting to see. And we'll be back with the restart. Oh man. Lights are off on the pace car. We've got 5 cars in this main little group here. I'm not exactly sure what has happened. You can see there's definitely some confusion around Masturbation, Buster Guts, who have lost a lap, by the way, when they were pitting. And now look at, people were trying to get around. That's what was happening. People were trying to get around Buster Guts and Masturbation because they were a lap down. There was kind of some confusion there. I'm not exactly sure what just happened. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but we've got 8 cars up here that are going to restart this race. Now, can these guys catch up in time? They're definitely gaining. They're definitely gaining on them, so I think it's possible. We're over halfway in, so let's get into our content racing designs. Ones to watch. Green again. So let's get into our content racing designs, ones to watch. The one I'm watching, the only car up here that I expect to see up front regularly, Race Ware just slammed the wall. I think he's good. I think he's all right. He's definitely done. The engine is definitely gone for the car, but is this going to bring a yellow out? We stay green right now. I think we're good. Well, my one to watch just got obliterated instantly, so let's kind of pick again. I am actually watching the 60. I think that the 68 is going to be one to watch. Whether the question becomes, how well can he do here at the front? I think he's got a chance. But you see Aunt Tim, you see Empty Packets, you see Crispy Bacon. Crispy Bacon needs to see a great run here, and he's got one, and he's got a friend to go with him. You see that? Aunt Tim takes the lead. And the 68, and those 4 friends kind of go with him, you see. He gets in front of the 94. Did stay green from that Race Ware incident, by the way. That should be
Noted. What a hard hit, though. That was at full speed. So Crispy Bacon takes the race lead. For a second, Waffle Allen has it now. There you see Reese Ware. Reese Ware is still going around the racetrack. However, that's irrelevant right now because we are still green. And we get to the end of this race on this green flag run. I don't think we will. The aggression's going to go way up. Waffle Allen to stay in the lead, it's not going to work. Masturbation has found his way back towards the front. Oh, and around goes empty pockets in front of the vehicle. Oh, and they collect hard. Cyber Zed involved. Dr. Shrimp Puerto Rico caution is out. And the 68 of Ricky Tiki Bobby Wobbin was also collected. We are racing back to the line. I'd like to remind everybody that we do race back to the line here in ASSCA and obviously in TOECAR. As you remember what I said, we are in TOECAR owned series, but just not a TOECAR series. And see the team Buster Guts right now leading. Can Kappa Joe take the lead? Going into the 50 10 to go with a restart. Buster Guts still out front. Here comes Kappa Joe. Is Masturbation going to make it 3 wide? He wanted to, but he can't. He's going to try now. Masturbation trying to take the race lead. Who gets the lead? Who's going to win the race back to the lead? I don't even know who it was. Amber is not the race leader. It is Kappa Joe. Kappa Joe takes the race lead. But we had another caution. We have a crawfish. So we're taking a look here at the 55 of empty pockets. Now, what happens here to the 55 is what we are trying to figure out. Oh, look at that. Aggressive gets into the 68, completely turns him, and that takes the 55. And see now, it's going to collect up the track. SpongeBob gets into it. Cyber Zed with a big hit and another big hit. A little small car collection, though. It's not a huge impact, considering how Gauntlet can be. So not a terrible outcome. Oh, look at the Bobby Wobbin. He doesn't even know what's coming. And here comes the Russian Cyber Zed. Big hit. So it's a cleaner. It's a good outcome. Yes. You have to take it off. Seriously. I don't want to be aggressive. It's aggressive. You see, he went to go. That's what happened. He went to go and push the 68. He goes into the straight thing because of the big jumps that he kind of developing. And one huge job to get behind the 68. He should just turn him. It's just a less judgment than that first one. Given his name, 68 can help that pass for sure. Welcome back to the preseason showdown here at the Gauntlet. We're happy that you're all with us on this Monday. So Kappa Joe is the leader. Crispy Bacon will be restarting second. Now, not to worry, this is not the full field. I would like to mention that right now. A lot of these guys are catching back up from pit stops and other things like that. This is not the full field. So, there's still a lot of time left. There's a lot of hockey left to be played right now. 8 laps when we get to the green flag. It's going to be a very interesting showdown. That is for sure. Do we make it to overtime? Do we have to use overtime is the question. Kappa Joe trying to stay as energized as the sponsor on his car. Right now, he has nobody behind him. And see, that's what happens. See, look at that. Waffle Allen was in a better spot, in my opinion. I think that Waffle Allen had a better positioning. And now you're going to see Ant Tim. You're going to see all these other guys. All these other guys are not going to go help a car that is not in the preferred lane. Do they start to do a little bit of coasting around before we get to that big part in the race where we're going to start seeing huge moves be made? That is the question. It's very interesting to see right now who is able to take the lead here from Waffle Island. It's going to be at 10. No, it's going to be at spot 360. What a move there by the 36. It's not going to get him the lead, but it's definitely a move that he was able to practice now before losing spots and not being able to get them back. Here comes Aggressive, though. He's going to be one to look out for. And then you got to think, it's going to 260 just the way what that move is going to do. He's going to need to make sure there's somebody that's going to go with him, and it's going to have to be a Chevrolet. So will a Chevrolet get behind the 36 as Aggressive is looking at the race lead? But Joe just behind, making a huge splash in his debut, along with Aggressive. Most of these guys up here are rookies. That's the question. What is Long almost just got absolutely massacred into that wall, and you see there's not a whole lot of cars left in this main group because of all the damaged cars that have happened over the race. See, officials have unloaded, and the big wreck is happening. Happy World Peace and Ant Tim collect, and Masturbation just slammed into the 11, and so did Cleavage McNamara. Oh my goodness. Another big impact. Oh my goodness. We could be going to overtime. All the damaged cars, Masturbation, with a big part backlash. I'm not sure if they're racing back right now. I believe they are. I think so. They are racing back. So Cup of Joe's going to obviously get better in food. Aggressive in second. I think we're going to an overtime here. Man, we've had some brutal incidents today. And it's not even a points race. We have a mosh pit. Taking a look at the 11, Ant Tim for Puddle Quack Racing. You see, there's just an incident, and then he gets collected. Now, here's where it gets interesting. You see, he gets hit once there by Masturbation, then another impact by Cleavage McNamara. And there's the big hit from Aaron Pressure. Oh my goodness. Ant Tim just went through a disastrous accident here. Taking a look at Happy World Peace in this incident. See, Waffle Allen gets into him, and then that's what triggers that. Look at the wreck avoidance by Buster Guts. Up ahead, and then there's the big incident there for Ant Tim. He definitely got the worst of it. That last hit by Aaron Pressure did not look good, and running out of cars. We barely have the top 20 competitive anymore. We've got a lot of cars that are definitely down for the count, and we don't have very many left that can actually fight for this win. And we're looking at overtime here. Oh, the worst is upon us. This could be an absolute disaster. We are headed to overtime here at the Gauntlet. And we barely have any cars left, as you can see. A lot of cars on pit road, but if you look back, the furthest you can pretty much go is Nye and Newman. And even that is a little bit of a stretch, because a lot of these guys are either laps down, damaged. I think that right now it's down to the top 10. So I'm going to give my content racing designs ones to watch once again. I think it's very obvious to pick these top two cars of Cuppa Joe and Aggressive. They have been people to watch all day long. But somebody that I want to pick that's a little bit of a sleeper pick right now is Amber in that 39 for Swipe Right Racing. She is so hot and she is so fast right now. This is going to be a very good opportunity for her to get a good run in. This is her first full-time season. She was a part-timer last season. She's able to have a full season here and get the full experience trying to go for a championship for a team that arguably has not had a great start with Becca Lynn and that big incident earlier in the race. So, without further ado, this is Content Racing Design Overtime. We are green once again. This is going to be an absolute disaster. Now, the ticker might not be able to display overtime, so if it does some checking and we do another overtime, I will let you know. Terrible restart of Aggressive. Cuppa Joe keeps the lead. Do they make it to the white flag? It is not the white flag right now. Ignore that ticker. And it is not the final lap either. So ignore the ticker. Ignore the ticker right now. And Crispy can make a move with Mick and Rory. And Dr. Shrimp Puerto Rico gets something going. They're stuck right now, kind of in like a single file plateau right now of cars. You see Eric pitting again back there in the background. Numerous laps down. Definitely out of contention. It's coming down to the wire. We are headed to the white flag. With Cuppa Joe as the race leader, this race is not ended here. It is now the final lap. The ticker is now correct. Except for positions. I think it's going to update again and be wrong, so just ignore it at the current moment in time. Cuppa Joe. Just needs to stay up front for a little bit longer. And Mick and Rory get something going and generate a run. They've got 4 cars lined up ready. And Mick and Rory get it going. Are they going to be able to pass that 78 as they fly 264 miles an hour into the final quarter of this race? It's Crispy Bacon on the inside, looking for second. It's not going to be enough though. Cuppa Joe is going to cross the line and win the preseason. The preseason absolute banger of a race here at Gauntlet. Wow. Cuppa Joe wins the preseason showdown. Different postal code is what I meant to say there, compared to the rest of the competition. See there, Crispy Bacon coming home with a second place finishes. See there, Crispy Bacon coming home with a second place finish. Aggressive 4th. Dr. Shrimp Puerto Rico with top 5. Amber, Love, Pit Puddle Quack, some cars that needed to have a good run here. Puddle Quack was the last car on the lead lap. So I pretty much was right saying it was down to the top 10. I don't really know who was kind of behind the ball. I think it was Lawful Allen who was kind of, slowing down. It looked like he was a lap car. He was not. And absolute scenes here at Gauntlet for a very, very good start to our first ever televised season of the ASSCA TOECAR development series, presented by Content Racing Designs and W Energy. What a race. Let's take a look at how it all played out. So obviously, I screwed up a little bit when it came to the finish, but man, that was exciting. I was so excited I couldn't contain it. So Cup of Joe comes home with the lead. Obviously, Crispy Bacon with a second place finish. Great start for them, and we know that they're going to try and carry that momentum all the way up to Daytona. It's going to be fun to watch. Mick and Rory comes home with third. Almost the best finish from Puddle Quack Racing. I believe that they had a second place a couple seasons ago at Talladega. So a good run there. Aggressive with a fourth place finish. Dr. Shrimp Puerto Rico with a top 5. Xbox 360 with a great run. How about Xbox 360 with an incredible drive as well for Draft Auto Garage, Lawful Allen for Loyally Racing. Amber, she did a great job. I must admit, she did a good job for her first ever race. You see there, and then What's-His-Love and Nia Newman were effectively the last cars even remotely in contention. Now, What's-His-Love and Nia Newman did have damage earlier in the race, so there was obviously going to be a little bit of a disadvantage. Pit Puddle Quack, the last car on the lead lap, a whole 5 seconds back, so he was definitely a little bit down for the count when it came to how competitive he was. Now, Semi-Can Stand Your Bits, Buster Guts, Happy World Peace, Victor Elaine, and Air 404 Driver Not Found are the only other finishing cars on the track. So 16 cars of the 42 entered did not finish. Can you believe that? Now, if we were to go down the order, it would essentially just be a lot of retirements, accidents, etc. And you can see where some of them started. You see Stacy Bernhardt Jr. It was looking very good at the start for Bernhardt and Michael Wave. Some of those guys that started towards the front had a great run starting to go, and then it just completely depleted with that first couple of accidents. Leland Funnyman is somebody that we are definitely worried about right now. He had the worst wreck of the day, and I think that Mick and Rory
just smoke or it is definitely worse than shooting the dart and trying to hit it up.
Leland Funnyman definitely had the worst wreck of the day, if you want my personal thoughts on it. It was definitely a scary incident, for sure. Chippy Ahoy as well. We're not exactly sure on Funnyman's...
There's a 0.1% chance that you shoot the dart and flick back at one time. But that does not happen if you dive into the smoke.
So let's take a look at the finishing results here. Cup of Joe comes home with the win. What an incredible job. Now, there's definitely going to be a lot of controversy around the Leland Funnyman incident.
We should just go or we should not go.
Let's take a look at the finishing results here. Cup of Joe did an incredible job today. Now, there's going to be some controversy with the Leland Funnyman accident, which we will get into in a little bit. Crispy Bacon with a second place finish, an incredible job from them. Mick and Rory, third. Another unbelievable job there as they tie. Let's take a look at the finishing results here. Cup of Joe with the win. A little bit controversial with the Leland Funnyman incident. We'll get into that a little bit later. Crispy Bacon with a second place finish. What a run. Mick and Rory with a third, tying the all-time best finish for Puddle Quack Racing already. Now, unfortunately, it's not a points race. It's not going to do anything, but it is definitely a good start. Aggressive in the 28 also had an incredible run. Now, Dr. Shrimp Puerto Rico in the 25 with a top 5 finish as well. Xbox 360, Lawful Allen, Amber, who did a pretty good job today, all things considered, were pretty much the only cars that were able to have an actual legitimate chance. And you see What's-His-Love, Nia Newman, Pit Puddle Quack, the other 3 left on the lead lap, they were still a little bit further back. Simi Can't Stand Your Bits, Buster Guts, Happy World Peace, Victor Elaine, and Error 404, Driver Not Found, were the only other cars to finish. 16 cars in total finished this race today. Unbelievable. And obviously, if you look down, we're going to see a lot of cars that were involved in accidents early. And obviously, one of them that you're going to see is Leland Funnyman. Now, we're not sure on his condition right now. We're definitely hoping for the best from Leland Funnyman. We're hoping to hear something soon, but just a very, very dramatic racing incident where the 78 just made a move, the 42 tried to block, and it was a big incident for sure. Hopefully Leland Funnyman is all right, and we'll definitely keep everyone updated.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
so let's take a look at the finishing order here. Cup of Joe with a great performance. Crispy Bacon with second. Mick and Rory finishing in third. Aggressive with a fourth place finish. Dr. Shrimp Puerto Rico with a top 5. Xbox 360 with 6th. Lawful Allen with 7th. Amber, who did a pretty good job, in 8th. What is Love 9th. Nyan Newman 10th. And the last car on the lead lap was 11th place of Pip Puddlequack. And then the only other finishing cars, Simi Can't Stand Your Bits, Buster Guts, and Happy World Peace, who were all 1 lap down. Victor Elaine, who was 3 laps down, and then the 44 of Error 404, Driver Not Found, 6 laps down. Those were the only drivers that finished the race. 16 drivers finished the race. Now, if we scroll down, obviously it's going to be all people that were in accidents today. But the one that we should definitely look at is Leland Funnyman. We don't know his condition. We will keep you updated, though.
And he's stuck.
We don't know exactly his condition, but we will hopefully see him back at the racetrack as soon as possible. If he has to miss Daytona, it does make sense. So Leland Funnyman, hopefully he can get well soon. But, what a race we had. Even though we had some pretty disastrous accidents, we had some really good racing. They were 9,000 wide across the line. We definitely had a great race today. We're just hoping that Leland Funnyman is all right after a 250 mile an hour hit into the outside wall, and obviously that flip as well. So hopefully everybody enjoyed the first televised race for the ASSCA TOECAR Development Series here. And, hopefully we will see you all back here in a few days from now when we go over to Daytona for our opening practice. See y'all later.